Hello there, I'm Sam Krahl. I'm the head of training at EMBO, and I'm here to introduce the EMBO mentorship platform. Before I begin, I just want to say thank you. Whether you're watching this as a mentor or as a mentee, thank you for your interest in this program and for participating. We're hopeful that it's going to provide supportive, constructive advice and helpful relationships for young scientists and more senior scientists alike. We hope it's mutually beneficial. I want to introduce you to the principles behind the platform, say a little bit about the two styles of interaction that the platform offers, and then just give a handful of tips and advice for ensuring that the expectations of mentors and mentees are aligned so that you can have really great conversations and really good mentoring relationships. The platform offers two types of interaction. A simple asking for advice interaction, and then a longer-term, more involved mentorship relationship. Both of these are possible through the platform. Both of them require a mentee or the person seeking advice to be clear on the kind of support that they're looking for. The asking for advice option is probably helpful for you if you have a straightforward, self-contained question, which grant to apply for, how to get in touch with someone, where you're looking for a concrete single piece of information. You can use the platform to find someone with the appropriate expertise, maybe in the appropriate country if the question is something to do with the country you're interested in, and you can ask them and they can offer you an answer. And that's a very straightforward type of interaction. The second type of interaction that we're hoping will grow through this platform is the mentorship relationship. This is a longer-term relationship between a mentor and a mentee, where the mentor is using the benefit of their greater experience, knowledge, and insight to guide the mentee in a range of professional questions, from developing their skills, developing their personal qualities, career advice, developing strategies, essentially anything in the professional sphere that the mentee is interested in being supported with, and that the mentor agrees they're willing to offer support for. Developing a mentorship relationship can take time. It may be the people reach out to you if you're the mentor, or the people you reach out to as a mentee seem good on paper, and it turns out that the match isn't great. It's nobody's fault. Sometimes it's just not a good match. Take your time to find the people that you feel, if you're a mentor, you can give real value to through your mentorship. And if you're a mentee, don't worry about offending the mentors. If they aren't quite the right fit for you, it's totally okay to say thank you and then to move on and seek a new mentor. It should be a mutually beneficial, a mutually enjoyable experience for both parties. One of the things that EMBO is seeking to do through the platform is to improve the quality of those matches. If you haven't done so already, please take the time to fill out your profile more fully. We're looking to support mentees and mentors in connecting with people who maybe have similar scientific fields. That might be helpful. It might not be, might have the same values, might be from the same culture or from different cultures, might have similar working styles. Really try to find people that you think are going to be able to offer you advice that you yourself could implement. And so various different aspects of your mentor, if you're a mentee, or of your mentee, if you're a mentor, may come to play there. And the platform supports sharing some of that information that we think might be pertinent to forming that relationship. So fill out your profile. And then when you are looking to select a mentor, if you're a mentee, or when you're thinking about whether to accept someone's request if you're a mentor, be interested not only in their expertise, but also their experience. Maybe they've listed something about their working style, something about their values. These other sorts of things in the platform are also meaningful to improving the likelihood that you and your mentor, or you and your mentee, are going to be effective for one another. The mentoring relationship itself is between two people. It's a collaborative, supportive relationship in which usually the more senior person or the more experienced person offers advice, insight, and guidance to the more junior person. I would encourage you not to rule out the possibility, if you're a mentor, that you may well learn something from your mentee as well. The mentor is responsible for offering advice, for guidance. You might also, as a mentor, offer your mentee some coaching. Coaching is where you help them think through their own plans in a much more focused way, getting their thoughts, their ideas down, as opposed to just advice giving, which is you offering your thoughts and seeing if they're supportive. And as a mentee, you are responsible for the focus and your goals. You need to know what it is that you would like out of that mentorship relationship. The more clear you are on where you need help and what you need support with, the more effectively your mentor will be able to help you. And the more usefully you will be able to use the time that you spend together. And so you're responsible for the focus, the goals. You're responsible for the work that's going to be necessary as a result of these conversations. And then you are also responsible ultimately for the outcome. Your mentor is going to offer you, I hope, a lot of support and advice, a lot of encouragement, the benefit of their wisdom and experience, but ultimately how you take that forward, how you implement it in your life is up to you. And so the outcomes are yours. I want to offer you a few tips, a few tools that might be useful for you in your mentorship conversations. We're going to look at goal setting. I'm also going to offer you a conversation format that you might like to use to structure your conversations. Goals are particularly important to finding effective ways forward, developing effective strategies, and coming to effective outcomes. For many things, this SMART format, which you may have come across before, can be very useful. It's the one I would encourage you to go to as standard if you're looking for a goal-setting tool. There are others which you can look for on the internet. SMART, the S stands for specific. The more specific you can be, mentees, on the goal you want to set for yourself, the more easily your mentor can tailor their advice, can tailor their support to reaching that goal. Mentors, you can help mentees come to clarity by asking them questions. So if, for example, the mentee says, I would like to get better at presenting my research at international conferences, better is a big word. It's not particularly specific. How can we make that more specific? How many international conferences? What will better look like? And so here the M can be helpful. Measurable. So if we're looking at getting better at presenting research at international conferences, how might we measure that? Some goals are fuzzy, some things are hard to put measurements on. And so a tool I'd like to offer you is a 0-10 scale. This is something that you or your mentee can introduce. If you're the mentor, you can introduce this yourself. You can say to them, if you think of a 0-10 scale where 0 is, you aren't good at all at presenting your research at international conferences, and 10 is your sort of at incredible levels, Carl Sagan levels of oration and presenting scientific information. Where would you like to be? And mentees, you can say, where do you want to be? Maybe you want to be at a 7. Maybe that would be enough for you. And then what you want to be able to do is describe what that 7 will look like. When I stand on stage, I won't wander around, I won't fidget, I'll be talking to the audience rather than looking always at my PowerPoint slides. My slides themselves will not contain too much information. I won't put up slides where I have to apologize for the density of the content. So really think about what a 7 is going to look like for you. And this is a way of taking what might be quite fuzzy, just a little process to help us bring a little bit more clarity and specificity to it. The A is achievable. The goals you set for yourself should be things that you are actually capable, that it's actually possible for you to work towards and achieve. If I was a mentee and I were to ask my mentor to advise me on how I might run the marathon next week, probably not particularly achievable for me, at least not right now, at this stage of fitness. I don't run marathons. And so set yourselves goals that you can achieve. If you set goals that are not achievable for you, you will become very frustrated. And so set yourself goals that you can achieve. If you set goals that aren't achievable for you, you will demotivate yourself and you will frustrate yourself. And despite their best efforts, the mentors will struggle to help you get there. You also want your goals to be relevant. Remember, a mentorship relationship is a professional relationship. I would encourage you really to focus on professional goals, developing professional skills, thinking about your career, thinking about your approach to your research, all those sorts of things. Keep it relevant in that professional setting. And then the T stands for timed or time-bound. Set yourself deadlines. In this mentorship relationship, you're going to be meeting with a level of frequency that's comfortable for the mentor and the mentee. Mentors tend to be very, very busy. They may have more than one mentor on the platform. Mentees, you need time in between meetings to actually try things and implement them. So use those meetings as almost natural or regularly occurring deadlines for you to pursue things and then catch up and talk about them with your mentor. So that's the SMART goal setting technique, and I would encourage you to default to it if you have no other technique that you like using. It helps you to bring some clarity to your goals. The next tip I have for you is to talk about the ways in which you ask questions of each other, both mentors and mentees. I just want to point out to you 3 types of question and talk about what kind of use they have, what kind of impact they might have in your discussions. Open-ended questions, questions that, at least in English, begin with who, what, when, where, how, or why, invite the other person to talk, to tell something that is their thinking, something that they're feeling, explaining their ideas, sharing their knowledge and information. So mentees, you might like to use open-ended questions when you want to encourage your mentor to give you a wide range of their experience and insight, and not direct them to specific things. Mentors, you might want to use open-ended questions when you want to encourage the mentee to think for themselves and actually develop their own thinking and share their own ideas. The second type of question is a closed-ended question. It's essentially seeking a yes-no answer, some sort of binary answer. We're saying, have I understood that? Yes or no. Did you find the result or not? I found it. Okay, so closed-ended questions are seeking essentially yes-no answers. They can be very useful for clarifying information, quickly understanding, getting confirmation whether you've understood something or not. Generally speaking, though, they are not opening up the conversation. They're not encouraging the other person to talk. And so you might want to use these where you want a very concrete, clarifying answer, but they're not going to be the most useful kinds of questions for exploring each other's perspectives, needs, and experience. And then the last type of question I just want to point you towards is a leading question. That's a question where within the question itself, the person asking it indicates their preference. So don't you think that it would be better to pursue this experimental strategy? Or don't you think that you should apply for the ERC and not Marie Curie? So whatever it is that the person asking the question thinks, they build it into the question. In our day-to-day speech, it doesn't matter so much. In this kind of relationship, just so that people are clear, if you have advice, offer the advice if you're a mentor. If I were you, I would apply for the ERC for the following reasons. What do you think? That's an open-ended question. What do you think? Rather than building it into the question itself, it's just clearer, especially when we're talking, those of us who are not native speakers are talking in our non-native language. The next piece of advice I want to give you is a format for the conversations you might have as mentor and mentee. This is a coaching style format of the conversation, and it's usually very effective structure for mentorship conversations. The acronym is GROW. We begin with the goal. So what is it that the mentee is looking for out of this particular engagement that we're having? Is it coming to a strategy? Is it just collecting some insider advice? What is the goal? We begin there because that's going to help us focus the rest of the conversation. The next thing we look at is reality. So the goal is, if we take our 0-10 scale again, if the goal is a 7 for giving a presentation at an international conference, where is the mentee now? You can ask them what they think. They might say, oh, I'm at a 2 maybe. As before, what does a 2 look like? That's telling us the different things that we might be going to work on together, me offering advice and coaching as a mentor. And so we're identifying the things. And then the question is, what could the mentee do to move from reality to their goal? And so here as a mentor, you can offer advice. You can tell them what you might do. You can tell them what you have seen others be successful at. Or you can stick with a coaching style approach, which simply means asking them what they could think of, what they might imagine doing, what options they're aware of. There's benefits to both. And then the final part of the conversation is, what will the mentee actually do? Between now and the next mentorship meeting, or between now and another date that you might set, which of these options that we've collected are actually going to be the steps that they take to move to that goal, and all things that we're going to do have by when attached to them. When is the deadline for taking these steps and moving this goal forward? So this GROW format, whether you're using it for coaching or whether you're using it for advice giving, is a nice way to structure mentorship conversations that I would encourage you to use. The next piece of advice is giving advice. I want to indicate 2 styles of advice giving, both of which are useful and valuable within a mentorship relationship. The first style of advice is a coaching style. The mentor might say something like, I might do it like this, I might take this step, I might write to this person. And then the coaching style is the question, how do you think you could achieve that? Because the way the mentee might get there could be different than the way the mentor does it. And so the coaching style question is offering the mentee an opportunity to think it through and explore it to see if something like you might do is something that they could do. The directing style, the other style, is I might do it like this. You'll need to do steps A, B, C, and D. So you're telling the mentee what it is that they're going to be doing. This can be advantageous if the mentee isn't clear how to reach a goal or things that they could do to move forward, and so you're offering them some direction, some guidance. Where it might trip you or the mentee up is if they're incapable, they don't have the skill, the experience, the status, whatever it is, if they can't do any of these steps, then it's not going to be an effective way for them to get to whatever the goal is or whatever the idea is that you've offered them. So think about, when you are mentoring mentees, when you are asking for support, do you want support to think it through in this coaching style, or are you just looking for some concrete answers that you can then attempt to emulate yourself? Both are effective, both are acceptable. It's just helpful to be clear which is going to be more useful.